So the build-up to Russia's May 9th, Victory in Europe parade, which they really take kind of seriously, has had the world at a bit of a shock recently. A couple of years ago, we saw no tanks in the streets. We saw a couple of busted T-34s, and that was it because the Russians apparently had no gear left. This May 9th, the Russians have apparently turned around and said, hey, look, we have stuff now. Oh my days, this is not what I expected to see from the Russians at this point. It's May 2025. The war in Ukraine has been going on for over 3 years. Russia suffered massive mechanical losses at the start of the conflict. I mean, look. This is a video which I'm pulling off Twitter here. We're seeing T-72s. I think those are B3s. Obviously, they'll be B3s like Mod 2025. These will be older variants, but the T-72s, and which are quite clearly new models. They're either new models or they're ones which are being hauled out of storage and just been re-upgraded, and the Russians have just kept them in reserve. But it's not like they've only got a handful of them. There is a significant amount of armor that is being rolled down the street. These are like T-62s, I think. These are T-62Ms most likely. More T-62Ms. Yeah, look, they're just kicking up all the bloody smoke in the world. Classic Russians and their diesel engines can't get enough of them. But the point is that the Russians quite clearly here have a lot of gear left. I mean, these look like BMP ones for crying out loud. I wouldn't want to be a Russian sat inside one of them. Holy hell, those things are woefully obsolete. But the point is that you go back to 2022, 2023, 2024. The Russians didn't have this much gear. These are BMP-2Ms. They didn't have any of this gear. All this stuff was all being used on the front. Now, whether these are models which have been brought straight from the factory will be directly involved in the parade, then will then be shoved on the trains and then sent straight to the front, is unknown. My personal opinion is that that's what they are. They're vehicles who have been refitted at factories, held in reserve for the parade, are going to be put into the parade ground, and then are going to go straight to the front from there. I mean, these at the moment this is just practices, but it's just to me it just shows to a degree how badly the West has sort of underestimated Russia's resolve to keep the conflict going. Now, as I say, I don't agree with Russia's invasion. I don't think that what Russia is doing is correct. I don't think the war is going the way they want it to. I think it's now going the way they want it to some degree because they have had the capacity to start effectively countering a lot of Ukrainian maneuvers and the fact that they're starting to whittle down the Ukrainian armed forces. But to me, I mean, those look like D-30 howitzers. Those look like things from 1943. I don't really want to be seeing them in a modern conflict. But the point is that the Russians have quite clearly put themselves into a position where they're going to say, we will fight this out for the long term. We're willing to do this. Try us. I mean, Christ, look at these things. Those look. I don't know if they're ZIS-2 guns. I don't think they are, but they're definitely no. They're. Oh, I can't remember the model of the anti-tank gun, but it's those are those are D3s. This is the first time I'm seeing this, by the way, so I'm just winging this at the moment. Those look like more D3s. Here comes here comes the big old missile. Oh my word! Oh my word! There is a lot of gear rolling down this street. There is a lot of stuff, and this just surprises me because I didn't think that for the May parade, Russia would be able to commit so much equipment when they're involved in an ongoing conflict. But it just looks like they do not. Now I get it. Okay, it's the 80th anniversary of victory in Europe. We know this, but even then, you're fighting an ongoing conflict. Why on earth are you committing this much to a parade? And I think it's partially to sort of turn around and say to the West and say to Ukraine and Zelensky that, look, we have a lot more gear. We're going to keep fighting it. And I know there's been sort of like political back and forths. We know that Zelensky said they're going to bomb the parade. We know that Russia have turned around and went, oh, we're going to flatten you with a nuke if you do that. It. There's been these backs and forths, but to me, it just looks like there's just so much gear. Now, yeah, a lot of it is older shit. Like Jesus, I'm seeing D3 artillery being hauled around by, by gun motor carriages. I mean, Christ. I mean, I joke about this. Artillery is artillery. Nobody really gives a hell if you're lobbing rounds from the 1960s at somebody. If it lands, it's still going to hurt. I think these are electronic warfare units. I'm not entirely sure. I'm more interested in the tanks than I am about these. Uh, got a couple of others here coming through. I'm not really sure what those are. They? I'm not really sure what they are. If anyone has any idea what these are, then please stick in the comments. These look like engineering vehicles. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, those are like tankettes for crying out. They look like all like engineering equipment. Oh yes, look at these. These things are cool. These are the Arctic warfare things. Well, not the Arctic warfare. They're what they use up in the North Pole. Look at them. They're so cool. I do want them. I do want one. I know Britain had a version which I know you can buy. Um, but I say I don't have that kind of money, and nor do I have that kind of space in my driveway. Yeah, these are less impressive. These are less impressive. Oh, look at these things. The beach buggies, and they're using the faggots, and they've got AG30s mounted to the top of them. This is just it's ridiculous, but it's awesome simultaneously. Oh my word! The number of tanks they've had has surprised me, but a lot of this other stuff, I'm sort of sitting there thinking to myself, it probably is Soviet era gear, which isn't going to see service on the front. But I mean, the number of trucks they've got as well has sort of surprised me, because one of the big things that's been noticed is that Russia has suffered a huge number of losses in its logistical department. So to see so many trucks will probably indicate that Russia has restarted significant production of those trucks for logistic services. These are obviously got museum pieces on the top of them. I saw a prop there. Don't know what's meant to be on there. That looks like an engine deck, or no, it's a milling machine. Maybe an idiot. That's going to have something on it as well. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't. I don't know if there's anything else that's been shown. Yep, those are the T80 BVMs. Oh yeah, T90K. Thank you very much for this. He is really, really good at this sort of stuff. Modernized T62Ms from the 103rd Repair Plant. Yep, that's what I thought they would be. BMP2Ms, T72B3s, and T72BAs. BMP1s. Yeah, more BMP1s, BTR82s. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if T90's Tony K's put any more up. I say I know I'm stealing from him, and I say go follow him, because he is flipping good at what he does, which is just like tanks, 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 tanks. He's just so damn good at it. But yeah, so from my perspective, I mean, it just surprised me that the Russians threw this much equipment into such a massive parade. I get it; it's the 80th anniversary of the victory over the Soviet Union. I mean, what, today is May 2nd. Yesterday was the anniversary of the Red Army conquering Berlin. And despite what some people might think, and despite the fact that some people are going to turn around and go, "Oh, he's praising the Soviets," no, but let's be honest here, guys. Thank God it was the Soviets who stormed Berlin and not the West, because the Germans would have been. It would have taken us a lot longer than it did the Russians, because the Russians just did not care about flattening half the city, and that was a huge victory for them. And to be fair, given the fact that they'd held up about 90% of the German army since 1941. Yeah, fair enough. I'll give them Berlin. I'll give them that victory. With regards to the repercussions of a Ukrainian attempt to bomb this, I don't think Russia's going to go overboard with a nuclear strike. I think that Russia would just lob Moabs everywhere. Um, but I think that an attempt to strike the parade on May 9th would be dumb. I do. That being said, I know this is a bit of a short one. That was the first time I saw it as well. Thank you very much for watching. If you know, I'm hopefully going to be getting some more videos out on the channel. I have a T-34 rant, which is recorded and just needs to be put together. And as per usual, I thank you very much for putting up with my inconsistencies. This is a one-man show, and I don't always have the time and availability to do this. I do still study my masters. I now live in a house of my own rather than living at my flipping parents. Thank God for that. I mean, not thank God for that, but it's nice to have your own place. Um, so I do appreciate it every time I come back, and people are still here, and people are still commenting, they're still liking stuff, they're still giving good support. And I know some of you are going to turn around and go, "Oh, he's a vatnik and whatever." Look, I'm not a vatnik. I believe I like to look at the Russo-Ukrainian war from the solely military perspective and leave out the political side of it, because it is not black and white, and everyone views it as black and white. And if you want me to do a video on my own opinion, then fine, I'll do that. But I don't think that anyone cares, because as my mother says, opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. So, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, stick your opinions in the comments about this. I appreciate all of you for watching, and I'll speak to you shortly.